The Innovation Theater at CSCMP Edge is sponsored by KNAPP.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our 3V's Innovation Award. My name is Rick Blasgen, and this is Art Mesher. He was the founder of the 3V's, all things 3V, right? Thank you, Art. 3V's, V's are velocity, variability,
visibility,
and visibility.
Did I get it right?
You did, and you wrote them many years ago.
Yeah, but Chris says I wrote them in the wrong. Chris says I wrote them in the wrong order. He sent me a note, just saying.
And everybody thought it was a book, but it was never a book. It was a series of papers. Anyway, we're real proud to have our finalists, our 3 finalists for the Innovation Award tonight. Before we do that, I want to introduce our judges. We have 5 judges who have agreed to participate, and we appreciate them. First, we have Chris Jones. Chris? We have Liz Ward. There's Liz. And Pat Martin. Lori Mitchell-Keller. There's Lori. And then Austin Powers and Austin from KNAPP, and we appreciate your sponsorship as well for this series. So Art, do you want to say a few words, and we'll bring up our first...
So I just want to thank everyone for being here. It's extremely important that we celebrate the successes that companies have with their customers, and creating an opportunity to make your customer successful by winning an award that recognizes the work that you've done with your customers and highlighting success. You know, we hear every day about how we fail all the time. So the whole purpose of this is to amplify every day how successful we can be and reward people for being successful. And we've actually just decided, with a little bit of conference, that we're going to have a very special award next year that's going to be the AI Innovation Award. So we want everybody right now to go back to all the companies that they know and get those companies to submit a case study where they've successfully implemented AI, like the Decision Intelligence Platform for P44 or others. But wherever we can, let's celebrate success. That's what we're going to do today. And then next year, we're going to have one focused on AI for sure. So on to the contest.
Well, and every think about logistics and supply chain, our whole evolution is based on innovation and creativity, much like leaders like Art gave us, and that's where we are today. So our competitive resilience is there because of leaders like you all, and for folks like Art, and for folks that you're going to hear from right now. So each participant's going to have about 7 minutes to participate and present their innovation, if you will, and then our judges are going to take some time and evaluate those, and at the end we'll present somebody the Innovation Award. So without further ado, our first finalist is LatentView Analytics, presented by Sunder Balakrishnan. So Sunder.
Yeah, I'm good with the microphone. Thank you, everyone. This is Sunder Balakrishnan here from LatentView Analytics. We'll kind of be setting the stage for the AI innovation starting next year, but we'll try to tee it up this year. Let me start by saying that I probably have a crystal ball for you to help you see the unseen. That's what I'm going to talk about. So 2021, the Renesas factory, Naka, Japan, a fire breaks out. The net effect, 3 very well-known brands have a stock price tank. Move 3 years forward, 2024, the Alpine flooding, Porsche decides to adjust its profit margin declarations by 2 percentage points. And then 2025, the now all too famous chart for tariffs, the net effect, a lot of costs for a lot of large organizations. And I'm just calling out 3 of the many such incidents that have happened in the last 4 or 5 years. We took a step back. We started sort of looking at why the what's of it and what's the problem do we actually solve for. So when you think of it from a manufacturer's perspective, they have a visibility arc that is playing out. A bunch of suppliers, 55% of the disruption happens in the tier 1. They know these suppliers. Their ability to assess the risks around these suppliers is decent. The real problem starts with a tier 2. 45% of the disruption, very little to no information about these suppliers, and almost no good way to be able to assess risk and impact. Before I go to what we define this, what was funny was when we was working with a couple of customers, we're figuring out how they solve the problem today. There's almost a battery of people who are calling up the tier 1s to say, who is supplying to you? They say, go take a walk. I'm not going to tell you who my suppliers are. Then they start frantically calling randomly the tier 2s, the tier 3s. Again, the same response. Why should I breach SLAs to help you build your network? We define this as a disconnected supply chain. And what's actually missing is that these interconnections do exist, but how do you actually go about defining them and systemizing them? That's where we built a multi-tier supplier visibility solution with connected view. The idea is simple. Try and build visibility with digital twins. Try and combat variability with the power of AI, ML, and a host of external signals that we can bring to the table. And then try and build velocity to decisions by building out agents, automation, whichever way you want to look at it. The net effect we are seeing is you are able to get better resilience, better costs, all the usual suspects. Now let's make it a little more real, right? The art of possible. We started out this use case, by the way, to try and solve for the multi-tier supplier visibility problem. We got some good results out of it. But what we realized is the same core can actually help you explore many more arts of possible. The second of which, being by these are live use cases. A customer wanted to know, what's my tariff exposure? And can you help me figure out where in my network do I have rare earth metal exposure to China as one of the use cases? Go further, one customer wanted to know where in my network do I have lead that is being supplied, so non-emission compliance. And then a retailer was interested in understanding what's my supplier diversification distribution geography. In all of these use cases, the same core was able to help them solve for multiple different ways in which they were looking at solving business problems for themselves. Nothing makes it more real than seeing a platform work, right? So I'll try and make that a reality for you. So we start with looking at a bunch of tier 1 suppliers, a bunch of type of risks. Geography risk essentially is anything to do with geopolitics, anything to do with disruptions happening in the network. Commodity, we are tracking about 10 different commodity signals, and you'll see the effect of it a little later now. And supplier is supplier health and metrics around that, ESG, finance, and so on. It also gives you a geographic distribution of your supply network. So if you thought China +1 or any other country +1, it tells you the truth about your true network. But the fun has just gotten started, right? So we then start profiling the suppliers and build a supplier 360. Again, all of this is a data-heavy game. So we pull data signals from multiple different sources, none of which is actually provided to us by the client themselves. They are relying on us to bring the data to the table and also build out this profile, including news events, by the way, that might be causing these disruptions. We then start with what I like to call the most fun part of the solution, which is what I promise, the deeper tier insights. We actually start constructing the twin of their network. So you see that this aerospace manufacturer had one supplier. They knew MTAR, by the way. They didn't know the rest of the suppliers. We mapped those out. Furthermore, the red dot is because that supplier is showing geopolitical risk. It's a Ukraine-based supplier who's getting supplies from Slovakia for titanium. What I thought was going to be the biggest contributor, geography was not really the biggest contributor. It was the orange signal on that. But where they actually had the biggest hit was commodity risks, due to titanium being one of the variables because of which they were seeing risks. This is the core of what we are building with multi-tier supplier visibility. We have active implementations where customers are kind of enjoying the benefits of it. Finally, we build mitigations, but we co-build this with customers. We never assume that we know all the mitigations to everything. I'll leave you with one last thought. From 10% of the network being known, with most of these customers, they now know 70% of their network. Thank you for your time. This is Sunder Balakrishnan from LatentView Analytics. If you'd love to have a chat, you know where to find us. You can scan and we'd love to speak to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Before you leave, I want to find out if the judges have any questions
Of
for you.
course.
Any questions?
So I understand that you know who the tier 1 suppliers are, but how did you ultimately figure out the mapping of the multi-tiers with the client if they didn't know it from the beginning?
So it is, again, data-heavy work in that we built integrations to third-party data aggregators who are just collecting a lot of port information, bill of lading information. That's one of the core of our, the way we are processing the data. So we're able to, but collecting the data is one part. The secret sauce is then we start building that digital twin, like we call it. We use a technology, I'm happy to share it, it's called knowledge graphs. So that's the underlying core of how we are constructing those relationships. I'll maybe share one more anecdotal, this was fun as an exercise. We got a material list from a customer, started mapping it directly to the platform to find. We got a less than 6% match rate between their product list and what we were finding. We said, let's improve the matching algorithm. We got it to 12%. We said, let's feed it to an LLM and then integrate it. The match rate increased to 65%. So those are the kind of experimentations we're able to do on top of the core to actually build the match.
Sunder,
Thank
thank you very much. Appreciate it. There we go. Okay, our next presenter is going to be Mike Weiner. Mike is the VP of Sales from Kinimatic. Mike?
Thank you so much, Rick. Appreciate it. And let's hear it again for Sunder. Great job. So thanks again for the intro, and thanks again to our sponsors in KNAPP and CSCMP. I appreciate it. Again, my name is Mike Weiner. I'm from the Philly area, so I'd be remiss if I first didn't start off by saying go Birds. And Phillies, they're playing tonight. So again, I'm the Vice President of Sales here at Kinimatic. We are a next-gen 4PL and logistics as a service organization. So before I get into what all of that means, and I need my clicker here. So I'm gonna start off by talking some football. It feels like an odd place to start, but it's relevant because even the most talented players, they rely on their coaches, and those coaches, they rely on their coordinators. Where their eyes in the skies, they're synthesizing real-time game data and passing that along to the coaches so that they can successfully execute on the field. And it's really that data advantage. That's how you transform raw talent into a Super Bowl winning organization. And in today's macroeconomic landscape where tariffs are kind of changing with the wind, I know that's a bad word, and 100-year storms are now becoming an annual occurrence, you need a partner who can be your eyes in the sky. And that control tower-like experience is the unlock and the edge that we provide at Kinimatic. So today, I'm going to share how Kinimatic is helping brands win by applying the 3V's, visibility, velocity, and variability, and moving them away from two-dimensional solutions and static BI reporting to real-time orchestration of their supply chains. So I've been at this for a long time, about 15 years now, and I can say with confidence that most brands, they're still running these old school playbooks. They're locked into fixed warehousing infrastructure and rigid 3PL contracts that can't adjust to meet today's market volatility. And the result, you're missing forecasts, demurrage charges are piling out, stockouts are happening, and all of that is trickling down to your end customer, leaving them dissatisfied and you missing out on revenue. And it's these challenges that Kinimatic was ultimately built to solve for. Now, our esteemed panel, I'm sure you've seen a lot of folks come up here like me, and you can probably attest to this, but there are very few platforms out there that are providing that eye in the sky, 360-degree view of your supply chain. But Kinimatic's control tower, we're connecting over 400 systems into a single pane of glass. And we're unifying WMS, OMS, ERP, TMS, and commerce marketplaces, and then layering in predictive analytics from historical data, real-time sales, weather, and even demand signals. So our customers, which range from high-growth mid-markets to billion-dollar enterprises, they gain a live view of their entire network from port all the way to doorstep and can act on exceptions within our platform, and that's the differentiator before they even occur. And with this predictive demand, we don't have to wait for orders, we can predict them. And that's what, so what that lets us do is pre-position inventory closer to the customer, which reduces stockouts and helps you capture more sales. And that's really, as the kids say, our cheat code, right? So it's kind of like the defense knowing the next play before it's even called. So the results. For our customers, we're typically reducing dwell times between anywhere from 30 to 35%. We're enabling 2-day shipping zones and driving 98+% on-time fulfillment. So the foresight that you gain through our tools accelerates sales and generates more revenue for your organization. And then beyond the tech, and this is kind of the other side of our coin, which is our traditional 4PL model. That fractional warehousing model lets brands scale up or down as their needs change. So we offer access to more than 150 million square feet of warehousing space across 250 North American facilities. And all of that is orchestrated within a single platform in Kinimatic. So for a real world example, today we're working with an enterprise consumer brand that's looking to expand upon a 120,000 square foot warehousing distribution site. And over the next 12 to 15 weeks, we're going to double their footprint by ingesting inventory from all of their other regional 3PLs that have expiring contracts. We're adding repack line and e-commerce fulfillment, which kind of used to be managed within silos in his existing footprints, all under one roof and managed cohesively within our platform. So with a single partner in Kinimatic and having all of this elastic warehousing and transload space, middle mile transportation assets, and agnostic final mile solutions, variability becomes a competitive weapon for your business. And finally, we have the tools in our belt to help our customers win. So through our network optimization service, which is free for our customers and actually exists real time within a widget in our platform, we've helped a subscription beauty brand cut delivery times nationally from 5 days down to 2. This net result helped improve retention rates by better meeting their customers' expectations, reducing cart abandonment, and ultimately driving increased sales revenue, all while helping them avoid $1.5 million in carrying costs. So what's next? At Kinimatic, we're really just getting started. We released this updated version of our platform earlier this year, and customer adoption has been exceptional. Our continued focus and investment is going to be on continuing to build out our network and our international capabilities. So cross-border, final mile parcel, and enhancing AI demand sensing and scaling throughput to $1 billion by the year end 2027. So we've already proven that by applying the 3V's, supply chains can shift from a cost center to a growth engine. Kinimatic's not just your logistics partner, it's a platform for competitive advantage. Thank you.
Mike, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Questions?
Yeah, thank you. A tremendous presentation. Can you comment on a high level the the deployment strategies that you use for the software? Is it an on-prem? Do you host this? Is it subscription based? Like,
Yeah, so
just at a very high level, how
yes.
your go-to-market for deployment?
So we have a cloud-based integrated SaaS platform that sits between the WMS, so the 3PL software that they're running in the warehouse, and integrated into our customers' ERP platform. So yes, it is a subscription-based model that is a complement to our traditional 4PL model. And we're also currently white labeling this product to our 3PL partners so that they can deploy this with their existing customer base today. Yeah. Any other questions? Oh,
We'll see how this goes. Okay. I think I'm in the clear. Okay.
don't move.
Are you only using Road One assets, or are there other carriers that you're also using?
No, so Road One is, of course, our sister company through the Callaways, but we also do have the opportunity to leverage those assets of our 3PL partners. So, if something does fit outside of the Road One model and their network, we do have the opportunity to leverage them.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Any others? Mike, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, our final presenter is going to be AutoScheduler.AI, and for that we have our Kunj Pandya. Did I do all right? All right, good. Thanks very much. Go ahead.
Thank you, Art. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, CSCMP, for hosting us. Thank you to the operations team for getting the slide deck in last second. Really appreciate that big time. And one more thank you to Maureen, if you were all a part of that session or earlier about imposter syndrome. If you're watching this, I'm proud of my dot. So just let you know that. And lastly, thanks to our CEO, Keith Moore, who many of you know, for giving me the opportunity of presenting this innovation to everybody here. So AutoScheduler.AI, our challenge, as you know, has been repeated many times in every booth here and the presentations before us, is we're moving into an age where data is prevalent, data is abundant, and data is everywhere, but we may not necessarily have the people, the abilities, or the intelligence to make the decisions with that data. We focus specifically within the warehousing space, within the four walls of your warehouse, and to that, we've talked about, and others have talked about, disconnected systems, volatile schedules, and really decision lag. And it maps perfectly to Art's framework about visibility, variability, and velocity. I'm not going to go into the details. Everyone here knows it costs millions and millions of dollars of wasting time because you don't know what to do at the right time, in the right moment, in the right situation. But what I'll do is talk about AutoScheduler, which is a decision agent, and really focus on the last three words, which is helps run your warehouse. Taking it back to front, warehouse, it's really a complex system of systems. It's not just a WMS, it's an LMS, YMS, ERP, spreadsheets, pen and paper. For those of you who go warehouse to warehouse across the beautiful cities of this country like I do, you know there are a million ways to handle and manage a warehouse that a computer and AI alone cannot do. Visibility answers part of that. Run, for those of you like me who have been in operations research for most of your careers, run is synonymous with solve. When you have an optimization engine, you are actually doing the deep math required. AI by itself cannot do that. Human beings by themselves cannot do that. And 10 years ago, on-prem computational power couldn't do that. Now we have cloud-based servers. We have the power to solve in real time. It's not just about the early beginning of the quarter. It's not about once a week, run the plan. That's what we used to do at UPS 10 years ago. It's about every hour running a real solve, almost to optimality, and getting it to the people on the floor and helps. This is where AI comes in big time. The LLM models really let you convert the deep insights into information that the warehouse coordinators, the people on the front line, the people that speak a different language entirely than the people in the corporate offices, they can understand the same deep math because AI bridges the gap. I'll go into them a little bit deeper. Visibility in action, obviously, there's our software there. It brings in everything across the database. It brings in your constraints, your labor, your dock doors, your schedules, whatever you have, it integrates together, visually shows it, whether it's your production schedule, your tasks that you have to do, the equipment, all of it. Our solver brings it all together, solves it, pulls the data in real time, solves it, and brings it out to the floor. Variability. This is where real-time optimization matters a lot. Throughout my career, I've had the unfortunate opportunity to try to explain to a bunch of operators or explain to a boardroom or explain to a client, how does optimization work? Show me visually. It is so frustrating to actually explain that. But my good friend Google VO3 told me that it's basically like just asking the guy on the front line, ask him a question, where should I park this? Him go to a whiteboard, start writing his decision variables, his objective function, his constraints, solve it, and then give it back to the driver waiting to know that he should park it on door 32. Those days were impossible. Those days can now be done. And how we can do that is by improving our velocity, improving our ability for the deep insights, the deep math that used to take hours to run. With cloud computing, it can be done in minutes, and with AI, it can be delivered straight to your front line. And that's where our AutoScheduler warehouse decision agent will do that. The orchestration that's happening is brought to the front line. So they don't have time that if something comes late or somebody is out sick, they don't have time to call corporate. They don't have time to go to their supervisors to make a decision, but they are empowered with either their phone or the application or desktop, however, to do it. And one step further, and this is actually, if I may be so humble, to add a fourth V, art, validation. As we go into the age of AI, it's not just about does it work? It's about does it work? And there's a big difference. And the difference is, does it work for your customers? Yes, you see it's bringing great returns to these huge multi-billion-dollar companies, double-digit gains in productivity, double-digit gains in automation as it ties in WES systems, huge cuts in administrative costs, huge improvements in on-time fulfillment, on and on and on. But really, it's all about the it working. The answer is yes, with humans. What do I mean by this? Up until now, all software has basically been, is it correct? Does the math work? Does it check against what you think is happening in reality? Ask the analyst. I've been one, I know. Ask the supervisors, ask the people with 30 years of tribal knowledge, and then double check it. That's all the software had to provide. Now, as we talk about next year's AI Innovation Award, and maybe we want to add a fourth V potentially, you have to ask, is it right? Is it giving the correct information at the right time, to the right person, in the right situation? And beyond that, is it good? It has to give the correct information to the right person in a manner, the how, the human element, that they would actually act on it at that time. You can have all the information, all the intelligence, but if it doesn't drive adoption, you're still stuck searching for answers. So what we've done, because at some point, what's different about AI than regular software is that you have to expose the agent to more people to gain that validation. Our CEO, Keith Moore, has said, go ahead and let our agent out to the world. For those of you who want to sign up, who better to validate than a room full of supply chain experts? Go ahead and scan the QR code, and you'll be a part of the journey for us. And we'll be back with you guys. Thank you. My name is Kunj with AutoScheduler.
Kunj, thank you very much. Questions?
If you're dynamically rescheduling, resequencing, how do you handle customer priority?
So the question is on how do you handle customer priority when you're dynamic rescheduling. And so one way to do it, the way the solver is set up ahead of time is it's pre-configured. So each enterprise customer has typically their prioritization of which customers get priority. So you may have a situation where, you know, this customer, we're never going to cut their loads. It may cause lateness with other customers and other loads, but that's the priority. In a situation where a company doesn't exactly know, the way the solver works, that's a little bit different than like your network optimization and so on. The configurations is something that's machine learned over time. So you start with your different configurations on what should be cut, what should be moved late, who should get the priority for what production coming off the line, what cross-dock opportunity. And as it grows, because it's real time, so you're getting the data every hour, it narrows the configuration to the point where they go. And the other side of this, the human side, is the customer success team, the implementation. It's not just an integration and your hands off. You do have to work together. All those savings things we talked about, we're contractually obligated to actually make sure they get adoption and actually make sure they get that. So part of those discussions is fine tuning based on their knowledge as well. And then lastly, the agent will help make that a little bit faster as they speak into it.
Real quickly, in terms of implementation time with an enterprise customer, maybe size of customer you're really going after and how long is a typical implementation?
Yes. So the full scale implementation, we're obviously targeting large multi-billion-dollar customers, 50 facilities plus, million square foot facilities. Aside from now, we're going to be going into different markets, but it usually takes about 65 to 95 days in terms of the initial implementation. And most of that is tying in the multiple systems that they have into a single cohesive workflow, data flow, and then making sure the continuous, there's a little bit of additional IT because you are having to pull the data in operations in real time and check it and all that. So that's what the team is taking care of there. So realistically, it's about 3 months. And then the first one, if it's a totally different WMS, so like say they're on Red Prairie 2009 or something, and then getting the first one that's totally unique to our substack, maybe that's extra 2 weeks. And then if you're going from site 1 to site 15 to site 30, those additional sites are reduced because as long as the WMS is the same. Yeah.
Anyone else? All good? All right, Kunj, thanks very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. All right. I want to thank Mike and Sunder and Kunj for their presentations. What's going to happen now is our judges are going to commiserate, and they're going to talk about the presentations and select our Innovation Award winner. So judges, go ahead and have conversations. All right. I want to thank all of our presenters, Mike and Sundar and Kunj, and of course our judges. I'm going to hand this over to Art because our judges do have a unanimous winner. So Art?
The unanimous winner is, come on, we gotta wait 60 seconds. We have the Jeopardy thing actually, but it was hard to hear. Okay. Does anyone believe that persistence is an important value? Who believes persistence is important value? Who believes if you try once, you should fail again? And who believes if you should fail again, you should try a third time? So the winner is, after the third attempt, AutoScheduler.
How about a nice round of applause for all of our presenters, our participants, and also our judges. We can't do this without leaders that give their time. So thank you all very much. We appreciate it. Congratulations. Let's get the judges up here. We'll get a picture with the judges as well.